journey back to the tumultuous period following World War II. As the dust settled and the world started to piece itself back together, a line was drawn across the Korean Peninsula. This line, the 38th parallel, marked a stark division between the North and South, a division enforced by Soviet and American forces. On one side of the line was North Korea, under the stern gaze of communist rule, heavily influenced by the Soviet Union. On the other side, South Korea, championing democratic ideals, backed by the United States. As different as night and day, these two halves of a whole were riddled with ideological differences that only served to widen the chasm between them. The border became a hotbed of increasing tensions and sporadic skirmishes, a dangerous dance of power and dominance. Each side, steadfast in its beliefs and unwilling to yield, was gearing up for something bigger. This set the stage for a conflict that would leave lasting impacts, the Korean War. The morning of June 25, 1950, marked the beginning of a brutal war. On this day, North Korean forces launched a massive, unexpected invasion into South Korea, igniting the spark that became the Korean War. In a mere matter of days, the North Korean military, backed by Soviet tanks and artillery, made quick advancements, seizing control of Seoul, the capital of South Korea. The world watched in shock, and the United Nations quickly intervened, calling upon its member states to assist South Korea. Leading this international coalition was the United States, who saw this invasion as a test of the UN's resolve and a threat to the balance of power in the Cold War. In response to this intervention, the North Korean advance was halted. The UN forces, led by US General Douglas MacArthur, pushed back, recapturing Seoul and driving the North Korean forces back across the 38th parallel. However, this was just the beginning of a long and grueling war. By late 1950, the war had taken a dramatic turn. The Chinese forces had entered the fray, bolstering the North Korean effort, and the UN forces found themselves pushed back. The conflict became a pendulum of power, swinging back and forth. Seoul, the capital, was a testament to this, changing hands multiple times, a silent witness to the shifting tides of war. As the battles raged on, a glimmer of hope emerged with the establishment of the Military Armistice Commission in 1951. This commission, a beacon amidst the chaos, was tasked with negotiating a ceasefire. Yet the war had taken on a life of its own, and peace seemed a distant dream. The negotiations were a step towards resolution, a small victory in a sea of battles, but the war was far from over. The tides had turned, but the stalemate was far from broken. Despite the negotiations, the war was far from over. Finally, on July 27, 1953, the guns fell silent. The armistice agreement, signed at Panmunjom, brought active combat in the Korean War to a halt. However, it was a ceasefire, not a peace treaty, leaving the two Koreas technically in a state of war. The human cost of this conflict was staggering. Millions had perished, wounded, or displaced, and the Korean Peninsula was left scarred and divided. In the aftermath, a 2.5-mile-wide demilitarized zone, or DMZ, was established along the 38th parallel. This buffer zone, ironically one of the most militarized areas in the world, stands as a stark symbol of the ongoing tensions between North and South Korea. The Korean War's legacy is not only in its high human toll, but also in the political complexities it has woven into the fabric of Korean and global history. The Korean War, a conflict marked by a devastating human toll and political complexities, continues to shape the Korean Peninsula to this day. The Korean War, often referred to as the Forgotten War, has had lasting impacts. Born from the ashes of World War II, the division of Korea set the stage for this conflict. The war broke out with international forces plunging in, shaping the course of events. The armistice brought a delicate pause, not a closure. Today, the war's legacy continues to influence the Korean Peninsula. Understanding the historical context and the events of the Korean War provides valuable insights into the ongoing tensions on the Korean Peninsula.